social media platforms at High Impact 1021 FM. Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Beautiful morning, Lagos. Beautiful morning, Nigeria. And beautiful morning to you, wherever you're listening to us from. You're welcome to the newspaper review on High Impact 102.1 FM. I am Sarah Uswanta, and it's Friday, the 10th of February 2023. That date rings a bell for something. I will not be handling the conversation alone this morning. I have my co-anchor here with me. Good morning, Esther.
Good morning, Sarah. How are you doing today? Thank God it's Friday.
Thank God it's Friday.
So are you ready for the weekend? Do you have cash? Do you have fuel? I don't want to go on.
So I have quite a number of things to do this weekend, and I don't even know where I'm going to start from, because honestly there are a number of things that the weekend, a lot of expectations. There's the Naira deadline, which there's no certainty, right? Because the Supreme Court gave an order. However, the Central Bank of Nigeria has not come out to give an explicit direction in regards to that. So people are skeptical. People don't know if the old Naira notes they have, they should spend it or they should keep it. Like, there's some sort of confusion in that regard. So I still have a little cash. I just don't know if it will suffice for the weekend.
You're so lucky.
I don't know if it will suffice for the weekend. I don't have fuel in the house, so that's another thing. You have to try to get fuel and all that. That's how it's gonna be.
Well, for me, I'm just happy that Nigerians are, the atmosphere is not as intense as it was at the beginning of the week, although a lot of people are still not sure of what to do today. So I don't even know what I would face when I go out to meet vendors, because
that's another thing.
I have my card and I don't have cash at all as I speak to you. I mean, whatever amount you have right now, I envy you.
I've been managing the money so much that even when I want to get food, sometimes I don't end up getting the food, because these vendors will tell you I'm not accepting transfer. So I just stay put and probably get something where I can use my card.
Yeah,
it has been like that for a while, and sincerely the situation is not really encouraging for Nigerians. But I noticed something yesterday. I was out yesterday and I noticed that major fuel stations along the Ikorodu Road, the queue wasn't as bad as it used to be. Yes, I noticed that yesterday. And I realized that there had been these fuel stations were actually selling. And the queues were not that serious and heavy. So I was asking myself, is this a sort of improvement? Are we seeing a change? But that was only on the Ikorodu Road access. I have not been to other areas within Lagos State to see the situation of things.
Most fuel stations I saw yesterday were still shut, except NNPC. Most of them I saw. I didn't move so deep into the Ikorodu Road area, but anyways, Lagosians, Nigerians will let us know. We are live on Twitter at High Impact 102.1 FM. We are live on Twitter at High Impact 1021 FM. YouTube 102.1 FM. And yes, you can let us know. Today is February 10, the deadline that the central bank set for us to have our old notes. Oh yes, there was a statement that after the deadline you can still take your old notes to the bank. Yes, but how are traders going to relate with people today? Are they going to keep accepting the old notes so that they can take it to the bank themselves? Whatever your case is, 0700 1021 1021 0907 224 5018. That's how you can participate on the conversation today. We'll take a break now. When we come back, the Punch newspaper, the Guardian newspaper, the Vanguard, and Daily Trust newspapers are the papers for us to, interact with, to discuss, and to even join. Our guest will join us sometime in the show, in the course of the program, to discuss also some of these headlines. You don't want to miss any part of it. We'll take a break now, and when we come back, we'll get into the dailies. Do stay with us.
Mondays to Fridays at 7:05 a.m. to 8 a.m. for freshly baked stories on the newspaper review at High Impact 102.1 FM. Follow us on social media at High Impact 102.1 FM or call 0700 1021 1021. You can also send WhatsApp messages to 0907 224 5018. High Impact 102.1 FM, your urban lifestyle station.
Thank you for staying tuned. You're welcome back. You're still listening to Newspaper Review on High Impact 102.1 FM. Like Esther rightly said, you can be a part of the conversation. Call us on 0700 1021 1021. You can also send a WhatsApp message to 0907 224 5018. We're streaming live on Twitter at High Impact 1021 FM and on YouTube at High Impact 102.1 FM. Very quickly, let's delve into the headlines, the dailies today. Let's begin with the Punch newspaper. On the front page, new Naira, confusion deepens as CBN deadline ends today. The writer says presidency CBN silent on Supreme Court ruling. Banks and customers await Emefiele's directive. Buhari's 7-day promise expires. Nigerians queue in vain at ATMs and banking halls. Federal government will comply with Supreme Court ruling that's coming from the AGF, and TUC threatens to sue government over scarcity. Details on page 2 and 19. We'll delve into details of that story in a moment. On the front page as well, you see the picture of this auto crash that took place on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway around Kara yesterday. I saw the pictures yesterday, and according to reports, a traffic hawker lost his life owing to that situation, which says one dies in Lagos-Ibadan road crash. That's the headline there. Council reveals training as 14,000 nurses join Jakpa train. Details on page 13. Suspects arrested for killing Ogun couple and son. You get details of that story on page 5. Vice chancellors and ASU disagree as federal government shuts universities. We got this update yesterday, and seeing it here, it's what we've been clamoring for. I remember having this conversation with one of our guests, and immediately that directive came yesterday. He was the first person I reached out to, said, okay, our voices have been heard, and they have directed schools to shut down for 3 weeks from the 22nd of February to the 14th of March to allow students participate in the forthcoming elections, and that's a good one, I must say. But still on the Punch newspaper above that, Buhari orders setting up transition panel on Valentine's Day. Details on page 18. Federal government sanctions 302 broadcast stations, issues 67 new licenses. You get details on page 12. On page 19, government vows penalty for film marketers rejecting POS and transfers. At this point, I usually say it, I don't see why. I understand the peculiarities and the challenges of the online banking at this time, but some persons are just trying to make things more difficult for other Nigerians.
Well, if there's a scarcity of cash and they see opportunity to demand for cash, why not?
But then let's try to understand the situation and help each other out. And the last story on the Punch newspaper this morning on the front page, we live in fear as earthquake deaths top 20,000. This is from Turkey-based footballer Babajide. That's still a sad story. The death toll keeps increasing every day, and they are still rescuing people from the rubbles. But those are the headlines making the rounds on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
0700-1021-1021. I'll take that again. 0700-1021-1021. That's how you can call us and be part of the conversation. WhatsApp 0907-224-5018. You can send us a message and let us know your top story for today. From the Punch newspaper, we move to the Guardian newspaper. Buhari prepares for May 29, sets up transition council that is in preparation for, his leaving office, and it has some riders. The first says gives 2 slots to successor. The second, 2023 elections, federal government orders closure of varsities for 3 weeks. Lecturers will swear to oath of neutrality, says INEC. That's the third rider, and the final rider says INEC laments 1,241 pre-election suits, 6 pro bono service from NBA. That's it on that particular report. Just beside it, I like the countdown that the Guardian is giving us. I hope that before I end the front page headlines, I'm able to mention the countdown to 2023 elections. Above that, we have gunmen ambush, kill 4 military officers in Delta. The details of this particular news, it's pretty sad, pretty sad. Fuel crisis, NMDPRA, Ipman agreed to 172 Naira ex-depot price. This story about the killing in Delta State, when we get to the details, I'll probably ask if there's someone from that part of Delta, who can tell us if they've, been able to speak to their people to be sure of what happened there. So when we get there, I'll mention the location so that the phone lines will be open, and if you are from that part of Delta, you can maybe call your family members and try to get first-hand information. But town planner seeks stiffer penalty for building collapse offenders. Town planner seeks stiffer penalty for building collapse offenders. That's on news page 7. I think that that's it on that particular story. Let me move on. Naira fuel scarcity. TUC on alert. Youths begin 14-day nationwide protest.
When I just hear protest, I always have concerns, because sometimes this peaceful protest turn out, they eventually go south.
Well, should we even be protesting for our basic needs? It's like me protesting because I need to sleep under a proper roof or in a home. I'm just looking forward to when we don't need to protest for the things that are our natural, the things we need naturally. Page 3 has the details. And Naira and fuel scarcity, TUC on alert. Youth begin 14-day nationwide protest. Our youths are supposed to be doing more with their time and not protesting. But
then they want the better life.
Yeah, I get
things
you.
Things are not going the way they want them to. This period
totally
has been a lot for Nigerians, and they're not just going to fold their hands and look at everything go south.
That. I'm just saying I look forward to the time when our youths would not need to protest anymore because these things are available. But cancer, dealing with high incidence and cost of containment, is also a big story on page 4 and 5 on the Guardian newspaper. Lastly, Falana tasks CBN to obey Supreme Court's ex parte order. The countdown to 2023 elections, we have 15 days left, and that's it on the Guardian newspaper. 0700-1021-1021. That's how you can call us to let us know your top story. 0907-224-5018. It's 19 minutes past 7.
Yes, it's 19 minutes past 7. And before we quickly take a break, let me just run through the headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper very quickly. So when we go on a break, we'll be back with our guest. It says Naira crisis, food traders count losses, slash prices of wares. Naira swap and cashless policy may affect troops. That's coming from the Office of the National Security Advisor. I've campaigned in over 500 local government areas. This coming from the NNPP presidential candidate Kwan Kwansu. NUC directs universities to close for elections. Meanwhile, President Buhari constitutes Transition Council. That's also on the Daily Trust. Details on page 4. Obasanjo faults appointment of former IGPs as PSC chairman. You get details of that story on page 6. Atiku in Kano fails to hand flag to parallel government candidates. That's on page 12. Read. And lastly, on the Daily Trust, 2 arraigned for flogging traditional ruler. I really want to see the details of the story to know what triggered them to flog the traditional ruler. Get details on page 14. But those are the headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Let's take a breather now. Let's go on a break. When we're back, we'll have our guests joining us. And do not forget, you can still be a part of the conversation. 0700 1021 1021 is the number to call. 0907 224 5018. Send your WhatsApp message to that number. We'll be back in a moment.
Join us Mondays to Fridays at 7:05 a.m. to 8 a.m. for freshly baked stories on the newspaper review at High Impact 102.1 FM. Follow us on social media at High Impact 102.1 FM or call 0700 1021 1021. You can also send WhatsApp messages to 0907 224 5018. High Impact 102.1 FM, your urban lifestyle station.
Put a touch of class and finesse on your brand by advertising with us at High Impact 1021 FM. For more information, call 0706 393 5694, 0915 958 1881, or 0902 745 3931. Follow us on our social media platforms at High Impact 1021 FM. Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Welcome to On Record.
Every word matters.
What I want to do is to take Nigeria from consumption to production.
My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course, must be 4 years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45-minute program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
Welcome back to the newspaper review here on High Impact 102.1 FM. Dr. Adedayo Kayode is here with us. We will be discussing the headlines today. So you can send your questions in on our WhatsApp number 0907 224 5018. Good morning, Dr. Adedayo.
Good morning, Esther. How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure being on here with you again.
Yes. You sound pumped. I want to find out if you have cash now, not because people's excitement. What? I said you sound alive and active. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. You see, either you like it or not, you just have to make yourself happy, whatever is happening around you. Because if you allow the problem around you to weigh you down, then also weigh yourself down, and there won't be any way forward. So for me to move forward and make sure that I get hooked up inside this kind of evocation that you are doing here, I just have to make myself happy. And I advise all Nigerians, whatever the situation, you are the one that can only make yourself happy.
Right. Okay. Dr. Adedayo Kayode, we recall that February 10 was the deadline set by the Central Bank of Nigeria to see the phasing out of the old Naira note. And today is the 10th of February. However, on Wednesdays, the Supreme Court ruled that the deadline should be suspended pending the determination of the case that was brought before it by the governors of Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara State. But then the Central Bank of Nigeria has not officially come out to give a statement as to if the deadline will be extended or what we should expect, and this has caused confusion amongst Nigerians as the deadline is still stated for today. What should we expect from all of this? Are you there, Dr. Kayode?
Dr. Kayode, can you hear us? I can see that he's on the line, but I'm not quite sure our service providers are helping right now.
Would have to call him back to continue the conversation. But, talking about this uncertainty and confusion, I really want to see, I don't want a situation. A lot of people, I was speaking to someone on Wednesday, and the person was telling me that, eventually they would extend it. They would do it a day before or that morning of the deadline. That's what we are used to in Nigeria as a country. And I was asking myself, why would all of these things be a norm? Why is it a norm for?
Why do we expect an extension?
Even if we're going to have an extension, why do we always have the extension when people are already running up? Like, eventually, a lot of people might probably rush. I'm looking forward to seeing how the banking halls are going to be today. And then if people go through all of this stress, at the end of the day, you now hear it has been extended.
I saw a bank around town planning. So my movement lately has been go out very early, come back not so very late. So I had not been seeing what the banking halls look like per se. But yesterday, I saw a mammoth crowd outside a particular bank, and I wasn't quite sure if people were inside the banking hall. But Dr. Kayode is back on the line with us.
Can you hear us?
Yeah. I'm happy to be back. Yes, you see, I followed your question. But the question I want Nigerians to ask themselves the questions are this. Number one, is Supreme Court supposed to be the first court of jurisdiction? Supreme Court, is it supposed to be the first court of jurisdiction? That's number one. Number two, does the Supreme Court has jurisdiction over CBN when it comes to performing its functions? That is two. Three, is there a relationship? Is there a relationship when it comes to financial control by CBN and federal government? Because when you look at the case, it was between the states and the federation. CBN was not part of it. So how can such a decision be binding on CBN? It can't bind on CBN. And again, do you now want to use the court to disrupt the activities of CBN, bearing in mind that one of the reasons, I'm not saying one of the reasons is that they want to use that change to ensure that vote buying is discouraged towards making our elections more credible. So how can the Supreme Court's decision be binding on CBN? I don't think so.
But now that the Supreme Court is involved, we know that the court operates as the apex court on matters, involving both federal and state laws, and the court has original jurisdiction and the appellate jurisdiction. And a lot of Nigerians have come out to say that since the court is the apex court and their ruling or whatever they say has so much effect that they could overrule whatever the CBN say. However, some people are also of the opinion that the CBN has an independent function to make decisions on its own. So with all of these contradictory opinions, that's what I'm saying, what should we expect from this so that our minds are set?
For me, I will go with the second opinion, whereby CBN was created by an act. And part of those legislations that created CBN was that it is to be in charge of our currency. Okay. And is to determine at any point in time the color, the type, and all that, the structure of our currency. So, and that is exactly what it's doing. So how come the Supreme Court will now want to rule against that? Secondly, and there is also a Federal High Court ruling, yes, of which Supreme Court can overrule because it's supreme over Federal High Court. But then, should it be the Supreme Court that will be the first court of jurisdiction to go? Nigerians should be careful, because this situation, yes, it could be confusing, but it's a pity. Most of you Nigerians, we don't read. We don't read. Neither do we do research. If we do our research very well, you will know that what Central Bank is trying to do is going to succeed today. Today now, I'm going to my bank to ensure that I have enough naira in my pocket for the weekend, because I can't be paying my own money to POS. So if you like, go to the bank and then put some ones of naira in your pocket. But you think that, yes, Supreme Court is one that is now controlling the Central Bank. Well and good.
Dr. Kayode, let me link what you have said with another headline on the Daily Trust. But I do not just want to pick the headline that says we allocate new notes to banks on daily basis, CBN. Actually, the Central Bank Director Consumer Protection, Mrs. Rashidat Mungono, in Ofa, Kwara State, on Thursday said that, there's an allocation of new naira notes to banks on a daily basis, attributing scarcity of the redesigned notes to sabotage by some commercial banks. So it's moving from CBN now to commercial banks. However, yes, I'm observing that, the amount is not stated here. According to the reports I have from Daily Trust, I'm looking at the paper and I'm not seeing the amount, but it's moving from CBN to commercial banks to CBN. What do you see in this line of communication?
Yes, experience of the last few days has shown that commercial banks, they are connivance in this act of sabotage of this exercise. Because to a very large extent, we have had security agencies arresting some officials of these commercial banks. Number two, there is no way POS operators will be collecting money from Central Bank. It's not possible. It has to be from the commercial banks. So who are the people giving them that money? The people that are also spraying you money in parties, are they collecting it from Central Bank or commercial banks? So these are issues, and that is to agree with that hypothesis that commercial banks are connivance in this act of sabotage of CBN exercise of new naira notes.
All right. So still connected to this year, I recall that earlier this week, there were conversations about how the Independent National Electoral Commission came out to talk about the new naira policy, the withdrawal limit and the redesign, saying that some of their vendors, this will affect some of their vendors because there might be emergency payment for logistics and a number of things. And then this morning on the Punch newspaper as well, the office of the National Security Advisor has expressed fears that this policies introduced by the CBN may frustrate military operations if it is not properly executed, saying that it will become difficult to pay officers who are on the battlefield. Will make us understand this whole situation, saying that these policies could affect military operations because some persons on the battlefield will need to be paid cash. They will need cash at hand. There's a lot of confusion because I know that when INEC made a statement like this talking about payment of emergency logistics, Nigerians reacted to it, and we discussed this on the review, talking about how these vendors should be able to be banked, like before you can be working as a vendor for an electioneering period, there are certain things that should be considered. So if we're getting this from the Office of the National Security Advisor in regards to military operations for the country, help us understand the situation better.
These are special operations that need special cares. You can remember, if you can recollect that it was in the news that the chairman of INEC, Professor
Mahmood Yakubu.
Dr. Kayode, can you hear us? We seem to be grappling with
the network,
the service providers today, but you can let us know your top story while we try to reconnect with Dr. Kayode. 0700 1021 1021 0907 224 5018. That's how you can send us your WhatsApp message. 0907 224 5018. I think that is heading in the line of talking about exemption, especially for those in the military.
And saying that they are special. Yes, because I really want to understand the peculiarities with these bodies. And I really hope that we get him back on the line as soon as possible and have him join us to talk about it. And talking about all of this, there's something that interests me before we have Dr. Kayode back on the line. I'm talking about federal government vowing to sanction fuel marketers who are rejecting
that's another
POS
thing I want
transfers.
to discuss with him.
And I really, because of recent, we've gotten a lot of comments in regards to sanctions and punishments for people that do not go by the laid down. When we talked about the fuel price, there were conversations about security operatives going after independent marketers who were selling at exorbitant rates. There were conversations about those that were not operating within the stipulated time, and a number of things. But before I just had to mention that we have Dr. Kayode back on the line. Can you hear us? Hello, Dr. Kayode.
Yes, I said network sabotage. So what I was saying is this. If you recollect, Mahmood was at the last FEC meeting. And after that meeting, Nigerians were told that Mahmood has called the CBN governor, and that one has assured INEC of giving them proper arrangements, making proper arrangement to ensure that physical cash does not disturb operations of elections during that period. Again, there was also according to that news, there was also a call to the GMD of NNPC Limited as regards even fuel. And those ones said, with all their mega stations all over the nation, they will make arrangement again for them as regards fuel. So when we are talking about this fuel scarcity or naira no scarcity, it will not affect these special operations as it concerns INEC and our military personnel on the battlefield.
Okay, Dr. Kayode, I think that is clear right now. But now that you even mentioned scarcity, let's also look at the latest about fuel scarcity, the latest headline. This is not the first time we're hearing that there will be sanctions, for those that are not complying. But now we have it clearly on the Punch newspaper that the federal government vows sanctions for fuel marketers rejecting POS or transfers. And are you expecting a difference? Because I've experienced that fuel marketers, filling stations are not accepting cards these days. They want you to give them cash. And in Niger State, there's been a complaint that POS operators go to filling stations to collect cash from them and sell back to the people. So now that the federal government has placed, has vowed to sanction them, what do you think? I think that Dr. Kayode is not on the line with us anymore, but you can let us know your top story this morning. 0700 1021 1021 0907 224 5018. That's particular headline, talking about fuel marketers, is one headline that I really want to see the end of it. I want to see an announcement that one fuel marketer has been, arrested or something
for not going by the laid down sanctions.
For not going by the laid down.
But before we proceed, let's take a breather. Take a breather. We'll be back to continue the review in a moment. Just stay tuned.
Join us Mondays to Fridays at 7:05 a.m. to 8 a.m. for freshly baked stories on the newspaper review at High Impact 102.1 FM. Follow us on social media at High Impact 102.1 FM or call 0700 1021 1021. You can also send WhatsApp messages to 0907 224 5018. High Impact 102.1 FM, your urban lifestyle station.
Put a touch of class and finesse on your brand by advertising with us at High Impact 1021 FM. For more information, call
0706 393 5694, 0915 958 1881, or 0902 745 3931.
Follow us on our social media platforms at High Impact 1021 FM. Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Our deals are hotter than the weather itself.
Welcome to On Record.
Every word matters.
What I want to do is to take Nigeria from consumption to production.
My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course, but before years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45-minute program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
Thanks for staying tuned. Yes, it is your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. We are having a conversation with Dr. Adedayo Kayode, and he is on the line with us. Dr. Adedayo, before that break, we were talking about a particular headline on the Punch newspaper. Federal government vows sanctions for fuel marketers rejecting POS and transfers. All these sanctions we've been hearing. What should we do with this? Announcement? Is it now a good time to expect the filling stations to make a change?
Are you with me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Is it the POS operators or the independent marketers dispensing fuel or filling stations?
Okay, at the filling stations. So the federal government.
We're talking about the filling stations.
Yes, filling stations.
Yes.
So they've deployed security agencies to those filling stations.
You see, Bob Marley said, when there is a will, WILL, there will be a way. There is no will on the part of government to ensure that this thing comes down. Why? Because a problem created by a people cannot be solved. Here is a problem that has been created by the government themselves. So there's no way they're going to resolve it. You know why? One, our refineries are moribund. Let's even leave that one aside. If you look at it, the tankers are complaining that the private tank farm owners are increasing the amount that NNPC is saying they should be selling. Fine. What is wrong with government-owned tank farms? Why are all those tank farms not working? We have almost 24 of them scattered all over the Federation. So what is happening to all those private tank farms? We have one in Ore, we have one in Mosimi, we have in Apapa, we have in the north, we have in the south. So why should government intentionally make all those, how do I put it now, tank farms moribund? Why? Why? If not for ulterior motives, if not because there is a connivance of the leadership of this country against the people, so that they can subjugate us to their hegemonic structure. And enough is enough.
Dr. Kayode, before we let you go, in Niger State, there was a report earlier that POS operators go to filling stations to collect cash and then sell to the people. Don't you think this is a community problem? Do you think it's a government problem that, POS...
It is not. It is not a community problem. It is a problem. It is a problem of survivor being created by the government. Before now, have you been seeing that? No, before now, have you been seeing that? Even me, for the past few days, I've been doing a little bit of cashback. I go to supermarket, buy maybe something worth of 5,000, and I say, okay, remove 7,000 from my account, and then give me back 2,000.
Wow.
Is that a crime in that? There's no crime. It is being caused by the government. If I'm able to access my cash, will I be doing that? No.
Right, then the service is quite unfriendly this morning, and that's it. Until we resolve this issue, you've heard Dr. Adedayo Kayode giving his thoughts, his opinion, his perspective to these issues. So let us know your perspective. Let us know what you have to say about this. Call us 0700-1021-1021. You can also send a WhatsApp message to 0907-224-5018. We're streaming live on Twitter at High Impact 1021 FM and on YouTube at High Impact 102.1 FM.
Yes, indeed. I like to read the headline of this particular story, even as you keep your messages and your phone calls coming in. I said the headline. I want to read a bit of the details of the story. Federal government vows sanctions for fuel marketers rejecting POS and transfers. The federal government on Thursday commenced the deployment of security agencies to filling stations across the country to enforce the use of point-of-sales machines, that's the POS, and the acceptance of bank transfers at the various outlets. So today is Friday, February 10, 2023. According to the Punch newspaper, this happened. The security agencies were deployed on Thursday. So by the end of today, my dear listeners, and I mean those of us here in the studio, we are going to be looking out to see the filling stations who do not comply. Because when the federal government has made this particular sanction on ground, when they've placed it on ground for people to obey, and security agencies are already stationed at these filling stations, I would like to see how this can ever go wrong. I would like to see how that can ever go wrong. Although I've heard a caller say, filling stations are not accepting these cards because transfers these days are not reliable. I get that point. I totally do. And imagine a public transport system, where the driver is traveling, let's say from Lagos to Benin, and he buys the fuel at somewhere in Lagos, and he pays with a card, and by the time he gets to Benin, the transaction has not reflected on the merchant's account. How would they reconcile the money?
These things happen a lot. In fact, for the past, since Monday evening, I've been trying to make a particular transaction using USSD code. Okay. And the transaction would, so if you are trying to transfer to the same bank, like the bank you want to transfer from, if the receiving account is also using the same bank, it will go through. But if you want to transfer to another bank account, since Monday, I have been trying to do the transaction and it hasn't been going. So imagine I went to purchase something and maybe the person knows me to an extent and says, okay, you know what, just take it, keep for 4 days. Would I keep telling the person, I'm trying? At a point, wouldn't the person even feel like I am making these stories up? At the point, I had to do a screenshot and I sent it. See, I'm trying.
This is what's going on.
If I have to wake up in the middle of the night to try to see if the network will be better, nothing. And I just told myself, okay, you know what? I'll just visit one of the ATM stands and do the transaction with my card. Hopefully, it goes through that way. So I understand the concerns of these vendors, these merchants. At the same time, we need to have a balance. We need to we need to meet at the middle.
I think a lot has been happening since Saturday. For the first time, I had to tell some guests that I'm unable to recharge, buy data, do anything with my app. That's why I've not been able to reach. Like, it didn't feel as a good excuse, but I couldn't just tell them that, look, I've not reached out to you because I don't want to reach. No, I had to give them a reason. But it didn't make, if someone is telling me that the reason why I can't reach out to you is because I've not been able to reach out, it doesn't feel right. But I've asked almost everyone around me at some point, oh, do a subscription for me, I'll pay you. And then I ran out of cash. You understand that feeling? So I can't entirely blame those that are rejecting. I don't want to say those that are rejecting, those that are saying that they don't want to do POS transactions. However, this is a good time to be more creative.
Exactly.
This is a good time to ask yourself, is there a way I can make transactions with people, or maybe get data?
People are even taking advantage of this period. On Wednesday, I wanted to make use of POS because I needed money to do something, and everywhere I was going, the rates were very ridiculous.
We're comparing rates yesterday.
5,000 naira. Initially, it was 500 at this particular stand.
Yes.
So I went there Wednesday, and they said it's now 1,000 naira.
Oh, it's now 1,000. We were comparing.
And that's
really.
20%. Then there was someone that said he withdrew 100,000 with 120.
What? 20,000 naira?
Yes. And I'm like, okay, what would I do? So I kept walking around. The rates were very exorbitant. I felt so cheated. Like, it felt like, why would I send 6,000 naira to you to give me 5,000 naira? Even when it was 500, I was still able to deal. So I saw a particular POS vendor. She just put a very big inscription on our wall. We are not dispensing more than 2,000. Cash is available. We're not dispensing more than 2,000 naira. So our own policy is you can't get more than 2,000 naira from her at 300 naira.
Okay, 2,300.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you calculate it, so if you're going to get 5,000 naira for 1,000 naira, and you use this particular vendor, you get 2,000 naira 300, 2,000 naira 300. That's how much? 4,000 naira for 600. Another 2,000 naira 300. That's 6,000 naira for 900. Which is better than getting 5,000 naira for 1,000. So she had to develop, and
wow,
I went there,
and then she printed a banner for that.
So she just put it outside, and then I went there in the morning, and when I was going back home, I needed to get something, so I passed that side. She was done.
Business is wow.
So people were really. Because when I went to get what I wanted to get, a man came to me, where did you get cash? I said, there's a store there, but she's not giving more than 2,000. I said, okay, I will go. How much? 300. I will go. So she had people really coming to her, and people are just trying to look for ways. Our own policy is not more than 2,000 naira, and she's getting her money.
0700-1021-1021 0907-224-5018. That's the WhatsApp number, 0907-224-5018.
Let's quickly take this story before we go. Our President Muhammadu Buhari prepares for May 29, sets up his transition council. Now, to demonstrate his readiness to vacate office on May 29th, President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday set the ball rolling for his handover 2 weeks before conduct of the presidential election, when he approved the establishment of a presidential transition council. It will facilitate and manage the 2023 transition program, the sixth edition since the advent of the Fourth Republic in 1999. The handover will take place at the Eagle Square, Abuja, and would usher in an entirely new administration.
Yes, before we go, the Vanguard newspaper is one paper we haven't looked at today.
Yes.
Yeah, let me take that quickly. As you mentioned, the transition, the Vanguard newspaper starts with that. Breaking, it says, Buhari names 22-member transition council, and Sarah already gave us the details. Also on the Vanguard newspaper, we have Naira and fuel crisis. TUC promises to protect workers' rights. That's on the Vanguard. And I like this interesting one. INEC 90% ready for 2023 general election. 90%. As we have the 15-day countdown, we also have the percentage countdown. So 90% on the 10th of February 2023, according to the Vanguard newspaper. Maybe I should do a brief read. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it's almost 90% ready for the conduct.
90%.
It's like you were waiting for me, because when I saw you arrange your hand like this, I knew that you were coming.
No, I just needed to.
Okay, but this is, and I'm reading it out for us to also get the details. We should read up these things as well. Don't just take our word for it. Go to the papers, get them. Mr. Awul Mashidi, Kaduna INEC Administrative Secretary, said this on Thursday at a stakeholder meeting in Kaduna State. Mashid said the commission held a successful mock accreditation to ascertain the functionality and efficacy of the BVAS machine. Almost 90% ready on the 10th of February. Okay, this was February 9 that they made this statement. Okay. But
that
15 days.
That was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday. But 15 days to elections.
Fingers crossed. But one thing is sure, one thing we really pray for and we really hope for is a free, fair, peaceful elections, before the elections, during the elections, and after the elections. And that's why you want to stay tuned to On Record this morning, because we will be talking about security during electioneering period. We would go into the details of it. So if you have questions, concerns, you want to ask the police, the Nigerian police force, anything about security or what steps they are taking in regards to preparation for the elections, keep your questions ready and keep your phone lines recharged to call in. And On Record comes to you at 9 a.m. But this is where Esther and I draw the curtain on the review this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to our guest, Adedayo Kayode. We couldn't properly wrap up the conversation with him due to a network glitch. Thank you for joining us. Thanks to our producer and associate producer. It's been a fantastic time this morning. Do not forget to follow us across our social media platforms at High Impact 1021 FM and News Around the Globe _. Remember to stay safe and have a fantastic weekend regardless of what the situation looks like. I am Sarah Owusu-Ansah. Good morning.
I thought Sarah was going to drop the name of our guests this morning coming for On Record.
Well, okay. Okay. So for this morning, we'll be having the Lagos State Police Command Public Relations Officer in person of SP Benjamin Hundeyin. He'll be coming On Record at 9 a.m. So you should stay tuned.
Yes, you should stay tuned. It's not just on Twitter that you should send him messages. You should now send him messages live and ask him questions, please, especially if you're worried about security. My name is Esther Kalu. Until I see you next time, to stay safe. Bye-bye.
Join us Mondays to Fridays at 7:05